Before I start, uh, an important note. You know, yesterday recording, there was some issue. Either I forgot to start recording or the recording didn't happen actually in the last class. But fortunately, I had a recording of a previous batch. A last previous batch record was there, so I simply updated it. So uh, that is what I would like to know. That is what I would like to tell you people. So the record is there, but it is not our regular session record. It's a previous session record, but don't worry. So it looks similar. Okay. So the concepts are same. Okay. The same thing I've discussed. Hope you people got it. Yes. So in the last class, we were trying to implement the domain model, right? That is what we were talking about. Yes. Let's carry forward our discussion. Yes. Okay. So we saw one to many mapping in the last class, right? So from the items perspective, actually it is a one to many association. From items perspective, it is a one to many association. Yes. Now you see, now the way we have configured this association here, actually I can say that this is a unidirectional association which we have configured here. So it is actually a unidirectional association. Just a second. Unidirectional association. So unidirectional association means, what does it means? Unidirectional association. I can say that you see here, only one of the entity is aware of the association. Only one of the entity is aware of the association. Which entity is aware of the association here? Which entity is aware of the association? I can say only item object is aware of the association. Only the item object is aware of the association. Why I'm saying only item object is aware of the association? Because you see here in the item class we got a reference to that associated bit objects. In the item class we got a reference to the associated bit objects. Okay. But in the bit class, do we have a reference to the associated item object? In the bit class, do we have a reference to the associated item object? So this bit is associated with which item object. So that details, do you see them here? In the in the bit class, do we have a reference to the item? I can say no, right? So in the bit class here, there is no reference to the item object. Yes, that means given a bit object reference, will you be able to obtain the associated item object details here? Will you be able to fetch the associated item object details? What do people think? Yes, given the bit object reference, will you be able to fetch the associated item object details? Is it possible? Can we fetch the associated item objects here? What do people think? Okay, hope you're able to hear me, right? Okay, fine. Yes, you cannot, because there is no reference to the item object in the bit class. But given item object reference, you will be able to fetch the associated bit objects here. Associated bits, you can obtain them. Okay, the associated bits, you will be able to obtain them. Yes, because in the item object, you got a reference to the bit. Yes, you got the reference to the bit objects, right? Yes. So hope you people got it. Yes. Okay. So this is unidirectional. Okay. Only one of the entity is aware of the association. It holds a reference to the associated objects. So which entity is aware of the association here? Yes. Which entity is aware of the association? The item. That's right. Now let's make it bidirectional association. Bidirectional means both the entities will be aware of the association. Both the entities will be aware of the association here. Yes. Okay. So now you see in the bit class, we'll add a reference here to the item. Sorry. Sorry. Yeah. You see, now from the bits perspective, now this is what this association, how can we describe it? From the bits perspective, how can we describe this association? From the bits perspective, how can we describe this association? Many to one. That's right. Many to one. You see? So this property here item, it represents a many to one association. It represents a many to one association. So we'll add this details here. You see? Many to one. Sorry. Now this is a bidirectional association. Okay? You see, here when we talk about bidirectional association, you will find that one of the entities considered as the owner of the association. One of the entity is considered as the owner of the association, and the other entity is considered as the inverse. Now, which entity is considered as the owner? Item or bid? You got any idea? Which entity is considered as the owner of the association here? Yes. You know, if you want to find out which entity is the owner of the association, then you have to refer to the tables. You have to refer to the tables here. Yes. Let's see the tables. You know, if you want to find out which entity is the owner of the association, then you will find the answer here. You know, in which table you got the foreign key column? the entity associated to the table will be the owner here. In which table you got the foreign key column, the entity class associated to the table will be the owner of the association, I can say. Okay, yes. You got the point, all of you? Yes. Is it clear? So now you tell me which entity is the owner of the association. No, I said the table in which you have the foreign key column, the table in which you have the foreign key column, you see that column itself associates these two tables, right? So that map, that association details, you see, they are described by that foreign key column itself. So that table will be the owner of the association. That means bid is the owner of the association. If the bid is the owner of the association, then the other entity item is the inverse side of the association, I can say. The other side will be the inverse side of the association. Yes. Okay. You know, whenever you have bidirectional association, whenever you have bidirectional association, you have to always provide that join column details. You need to always provide the join column details in that owning side of that entity. So that means the join column details should be in on the owning side. The join column details should be on the owning side. Okay. Yes. So the item bid is the bid is the owner, right? So in the bid class itself, you have to add the join column details. So you can shift this now. Earlier we have configured the details in the item, but now this time you'll add the join column details here. Yes. Okay. Now what about this side? So you will not provide the join column details. Already we have configured them in the bit class now. So all you need to do is just add this mapped by and specify the property name here. Item. What is this item? Item is the property name in the bid class on top of which you have configured this join column details. Yes. Okay. So on top of item class, you got this join column details, right? Join column means the foreign key column details. So here you'll specify those details mapped by. That means to the framework you're saying that already we have configured the join column details, you know, on top of item property on the other side. That is what you're describing here, or that is what you're specifying using the mapped by annotation. So hope this is clear for you people, right? Now, you see, this is a bidirectional association. And already now you see here we have also gone through many to one association as well. So how to map the many to one association, you understood this, right? Okay, next, if it is clear, we'll go through one to one association. Okay, we'll go through one to one association. Yes, tell me.
Mahesh, while saving the object and how we save we have to save both object or like there is a confusion.
Are you speaking by any chance? Just a minute, please. Just a minute. Hello.
Hi Mahesh.
Yes, Adbi, tell me.
So in test Java class, whenever we try to save the object, we have to save the both item or bit class the object, or like we have to like create a one object and save the association and then only one object, then the association will be automatically saved.
I'm sorry. I missed that last part. What was it?
So can you explain in test Java class how the object will be saved in a unidirectional or in a bidirectional?
So what is the difference you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. So the main difference here, as I told you people, you see,
No, no. While saving the object, Mahesh, in test Java class.
while saving the object, yeah,
Yeah.
that will see. Okay, that associations they will be managed. We'll see that. Okay, I'll show you people. So we'll discuss about it.
Okay.
So when we save that item object, what happens to the bid object, the associated object? That is your question, right? That is what you're talking about. Okay. Yes. So we'll see that. Manage the associations. Like, we'll definitely see that. Yes. Okay. As of now, already one thing which we saw that you see, hibernate was helping us to fetch the associated bid objects, right? So once you fetch, you see in the last class we did this. So we are fetching item details. Now you see again to fetch the associated bid details, all you need to do is just call this get method, right? Get bits. That's it. This is simple getter method which we are using here. Okay. This is simple get method which we are using here. Okay. So You know, we'll go through one-to-one association. For that, I'll consider this example. I'll show you people tables here. See, for suppose you got this customer class, sorry, customer table, not class. So in the customer table, you will have customer details. As of now, there are no details, don't worry. So what details of customer we are adding here? A customer ID, customer name. Okay, what is this address ID? It's foreign key columns. So address ID is actually foreign key column here. Yes. And when it comes to address table, when it comes to address table, in the address table, you'll have the address details like address ID, state, and city. Now these two tables are associated. Okay, these two tables are associated. Associated. How? The foreign key column. Okay, foreign key column. Yes, we can use foreign key column here. That is possible. Okay, so let me define these two classes here for the customer and for the address class. So for customer, we'll define a class, and for the address also, we'll define a class here. You see, in the customer class, I'll add the fields now. So the customer ID and name. So the only couple of fields add them here. Customer ID and customer name. Next, we'll add getters and sets. Okay, this is the customer class. Similarly, see what details of address you are storing, like address ID, street, and city. Address ID, street, and city. Yes. treat. And city. Okay, it's one-to-one association. So what I will do is I will add the reference to the address class in the customer class. Let get reference address. Let's make it a bidirectional association. That means even in the address class, we'll add a reference variable here. Which reference variable? The customer reference variable. So the associated customer object reference will be stored in the reference variable. Okay. Now let's map these details. First of all, I will add this entity annotation and then the table annotation. We need to configure the table name. So this class will be mapped to that table. Now I'll add this ID annotation here. So why we will be adding ID annotation? Yes. Why we will add ID annotation? uh, Not for the purpose of formatting, but you see, whichever field, generally on which property you'll add the ID annotation, we'll add this ID annotation on top of the field which is mapped to the primary key of the table. So whichever field is mapped to the primary key of the table. Okay. So on top of that field, we'll add this ID annotation, which indicates that this field is mapped to the primary key of the table here. Okay, you got it. Okay. So next, we need to provide the column details. Oh, just a second, please.
Hello, can you people hear me? Okay, good.
Thank you. Sorry, lost the connection. So next, we'll configure that column name. So this field is mapped to which column? That column name. The primary key column name, what is it? Customer underscore ID. Similarly, we'll call configure the other column details. Customer name. Yes. Just a sec. Okay. Now this property here, can you people tell me what exactly it represents? This property, it represents foreign key. Okay, no. According to Java, what exactly it means? Yes. So it actually represents the association. It actually represents the association here. Yes. It represents one-to-many association between the customer and the address class. It represents one-to-many association between the customer and the address class here. That's it. Okay, fine. So that mapping details will add it. Because this property represents one-to-one association, I will add this. Now, this customer class, is it the owner of the association or the inverse side? The customer class here, or which entity class is the owner here? Customer or address? Which entity class is the owner? Address, are you right? So, as I told you people, so in the table in which you got this foreign key column, the entity class associated with the table will be the owner of the association. So foreign key column is in which table as of now? You have the foreign key column in the address table actually. Sorry, not in the address table, in the customer table. So customer class will be the owner of the association. Customer class will be the owner of the association here. Yes. Fine. So now in this class itself, you should add the join column details. So on top of this property, now you can add the join column details. Join column means the foreign key column. Name equal to, what is that foreign key column name? Address ID. You see, on the Java side, the associations are represented using reference variables. On the Java side, the associations are represented using reference variables. When it comes to the database, how the associations are represented? Using the foreign key column. That you need to remember, okay? When it comes to Java side, you see this reference now address, it represents the association between these two classes, which class is customer and address. And on the Java side, the same association is, on the database side, the same association is represented using foreign key column. That's it. So hope you people got it. Yes. Now let's also configure the other entity class here. Let's configure that mapping details here at the rate entity, at the rate table, name is address, column address underscore ID, name street, name city. Next, what else we need to do? We have to configure this entity class details in the configuration file. It's in the configuration file. Configure this entity class details. Okay. So customer and the address. That's it. Next, now we'll test it. Okay. For the sake of simplicity, sorry. So I will add a parameterized constructor also so that I can easily initialize this objects. Okay. Sorry. Now we have no records in that tables, right? You see, these tables are simply blank. So let's add some records here through this Hibernate. So for that, first of all, yes, you know, whenever you want to add a record, actually adding the record means it's a insert operation, a non-select DB operation. It is actually a non-select DB operation. So non-select DB operations, you will find that you have to perform them using a transaction itself. Non-select DB operations, you need to execute those non-select DB operations under the transaction context. Okay, so you need to obtain a transaction. So you got this method get transaction. Start the transaction. Okay, now what we want to do, I would like to add the customer details. Not only the customer, but also the associated address details. Let's say customer and its associated address details. Yes. Okay. So we'll create a customer object. You see what I did? So I created a customer object and also the address object. So let me store the customer object reference, sorry, the address object reference in the customer set address, and similarly the address object reference, sorry, customer object reference also will store it in the customer. Yes. Okay, now this is a bidirectional association. Both the entities will have reference to each other. Both the entities will have reference to each other, I can say. Now one more thing, I'm sorry, I missed this part. So here this is customer reference variable in the address class represents one-to-many association, and already we have configured the join column details and all here, right? So all you need to do is just specify the property name address on top of which that mapping is already done. That's it. So always on the inverse side you'll use this mapped by. On the inverse side use mapped by here. That's it. So Now you see these two objects are associated. One object as a reference to the other. Now how will you add this records to the database server? So in the session we got save method. To the save method you have to pass the customer object reference and commit the transaction. That means close the transaction. You see I'm passing this customer object reference to the save method. Save method will take that customer object and it will try to add that customer record to the database server. But what about the associated address object here? How about the associated address object? Yes. Yes. You got the question, all of you. So what happens to the associated address object? So if we add the customer object, what happens to that associated address object here? Will it be added to the database server? By default, the associated object, it will not be added. Okay. By default, the associated object will not be added. So if you want the session to add the associated object, in that case, we have to configure the details. We need to configure the details. So how will you configure the details? So actually, it is called as cascading effect. Cascading. You see, go to the customer class. You have this mapping details, right? Association details. You add this attribute cascade equal to cascade equal to cascade. Sorry. Type dot all. Cascade equal to cascade type dot all. So here what does this cascade means? Cascading means what it is. Cascading means here, you know, it indicates that whatever the DB operation we perform on the customer object, whatever the DB operation we perform on the customer object, the same DB operation should be performed on the associated item object also, associated address object also. The same DB operation should be performed on the associated address object also. Yes. So that means if the customer object is added, then that associated object here what is it, address should also be added. The same operation, add operation, should be performed on the address object also. That is what cascading means. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So that means, you see, in this case, we are calling the save method and passing this customer object, right? So that customer object will be added to the database server. So it will be inserted. Now that same operation, insert operation, will be performed on the associated address object also. The same operation will be performed on the associated address object also. Yes. So let's run this code. You know what? Here, sorry, Hibernate will add this customer record and address record to the database, right? So in Hibernate, in order to add this customer record and address record, so again it has to generate a SQL query. So which SQL query will be used in this purpose, in this regard? Insert query, right? It has to it has to generate an insert query here. So let's see whether really Hibernate generates that insert query or not. Okay. So how, we can ask Hibernate to display that queries which it is generating. We can ask Hibernate to display the queries which it generates. So we have this property show SQL. So all you need to do is set this property show SQL to true. You need to set this property to true here. That is what you need to do. Okay. Okay. Now let's run this code. As of now, there are no records in the tables, right? So let's run this code. So it is generating the select query first of all. That means it will check whether that record is existing. If not, it will add it. So especially only for that associated records, it will do this. It is generating that insert queries. You see. Now let's check this tables. Okay. You see. Sorry. You got this customer record, and you see that foreign key column address ID. It refers to the address record whose ID is triple double 901. Now go to the address table and check in the address table. You have this address records as well. Okay. So hope you people got it. So this way, you see, Hibernate will help us to manage the associations. Now, by calling that save method, you're passing that customer object. So Hibernate is making sure that even that associated record is also added to the database server. Yes. So, uh, Sadbir, I guess this is your doubt, right? Okay. Now you see, you people know that Hibernate is helping us to manage the associations as well. So do we have such support in JDBC API? Is there any such support in the JDBC API? You won't find such support. You see, this is one of the limitations of JDBC API. As I told you people earlier also, so there is no support for managing associations in JDBC. Okay, so now we have gone through three different types of associations. So what are the associations which is a one-to-one, one-to-many, and what is the other one? One-to-one, one-to-many, and many-to-one. Okay, so now we have to go through another association, that is many-to-many association. Yes, many-to-many association. Okay, many-to-many association. So for many-to-many association, we'll consider this example of item and category. Okay, we'll consider the item in the category here. Yes. So item in an item, or I can say item object, is associated to many categories. Item belongs to more than one category, I can say. And you see, in a category, you'll have many items. So from both the entities perspective, the association is one to many. the association is one to many. Okay, so this type of association itself is called as many to many association. This type of association itself is called as many to many association. Okay, many to many association. So now let's see how we'll represent many to many association in Java, and how will you represent many to many association in the database tables. Okay, yes. So when it comes to Java, so you see, for the item details, we'll define item class. For the categories, we'll define a category class here. How about the association here? How will you describe that association? How will you describe the association? Yes. Sorry. How will you describe that many to many association here? Yes. Now, first of all, you have to do this. Add add the categories collection object reference here. So item object holds the reference to the associated categories. Item object holds the reference to the associated categories. That is what it indicates. And you see, a category object also will have a reference to the associated item objects here. Yes. In Java, this is how we will represent a many to many association. Okay. Next, what about the database server? So first of all, you know that we need to define a table for item class and table for category class, right? Next, what else we are supposed to do here? Yes. On the database side, see here in the tables, How will you describe that many to many association? How it is represented here? Yes. So how will you describe that many to many association on the table in the database side in the tables? You know what? To describe that many to many association, two tables will not be enough. Two tables will not be enough. You need three tables here altogether. Okay, you need three tables, not two tables. It is not enough. So we have to create a third table called as join table. Sorry. You see, in the join table itself, we'll be configuring that association details. So now you'll find that here in this table, you'll have foreign key columns. In this table, you'll have foreign key columns. Yes. So you'll have a foreign key column for the item table. Sorry, yeah, item table and foreign key column for the category table. You see, item underscore ID underscore FK, let's say. So it refers to the primary key of the item table. And you'll have another column, so which is also a foreign key column, which refers to the primary key of the category table here. This is what we need to do here. Yes. Okay. So this table, the third table, is actually called as a join table because the table here, it joins two tables. The table joins two tables. So that's the reason why it is called as a join table here. Yes. Okay. So for I guess we got we got already this tables. So let me check once. Already we have item table, right? So we have category table as well. See the category table, the item table. Now we have a third table, item category table or category item table, I can say. Yes. Okay. So hope you people got it. You see, in the third table itself, you have that association details. You see that items like the ID, the item whose ID is 101, it is associated to the categories. You see like 99901, 99902 as well. Only two categories. So it is difficult to describe this association. Many to many association using two tables. We need three tables definitely. You'll need three tables. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So now let's see how to map this association details here, especially many to many association details. How we are going to map it? Let's see. So already we have an item class here, right? We got item class. So I need to define a category class. So categories includes category ID and category name. We'll add get a sense it is. Okay. So now we have defined this class. Let's map it. Sorry, entity. Let's do this table category. Category ID. Category name. Yes. Now you see in the category class we need to add sorry a reference to the items, right? Collection of items. Get items and set items. Now similarly, we can add this reference to the item class as well. In the item class, we can add a reference to the categories. Okay. Already item is associated to bits, right? Will associate it to the categories. Okay. Now you see this property categories which you got here in the item class. It represents many to many association. It represents association, right? Yeah. You see that association details. We need to describe them here. Now, can you people tell me which entity class is the owner of the association first of all? Which entity class is the owner of the association? Yes. Which entity class is the owner of the association? In this case, actually the foreign key column is not in any of the tables. The foreign key column is not in the item table, not in the category table, right? So that foreign key column is in a third table, that is the join table. So that's the reason why here any one of the entity class you can consider it as the owner of the association here. Okay. Any one of the entity class you can treat it as the owner of the association. Yes. Okay. Just a second, please. Yeah, I'm sorry. So let's map this association details here. Okay. Of uses many to many, and now you see, unlike the previous associations, the mapping details are in a third table here. So that's the reason why. So what we are going to do is here we'll use sorry, that join table is uh, is used to associate the tables, right? So you see, I'm going to use that annotation join table. So earlier we have used join column annotation. Earlier we have used join column annotation. Now we'll use join table annotation here. Okay. So now we need to configure that join table name. We need to configure the join table name here. Category item. Next, we need to configure that details, right? Join column name equal to, you see this is which class? Item class. So for the item class you got item table. For that item table, this is a foreign key column. For the item table, this is the foreign key column here. Yes. Next, we got the other join column also here. We have the other join column also. Let's try to map that join column details here. So you have two join columns in that table, right? Yes. So now you see that join column is going to be the inverse join column. Just a second. So Now we have to configure the join column details, right? Just a second. Join columns. So this details, you'll add it here. First, we have configured one join column details. So the other join column is going to be the inverse join column. That inverse join column details, we'll configure it this way. Inverse join column equal to, so we need to configure the details about the inverse join column. Set the rate join column. The other join column which is left over here, what is it? Category underscore id underscore f. That's it. You see? So I'll configure the details this way here. Okay. So similarly, you'll configure it here. But you see, already we have configured the complete mapping over there. So all you need to do is just add this mapper by and specify the property name. So on top of the items property, already we did this, right? Yes. Okay, we are done. Now let me add that category details here. Okay, that's it. Let's test it. We don't need transactions. I'll try to fetch the records. So for fetching, you don't need. Okay, call get method, pass the item class. 401. I would like to fetch the item details. Already, I guess we have that code, right? Let me make use of this. You see, we'll fetch that item details. Now, what if I want to fetch the associated category details? Yes, yes, that's right. All you need to do is call that get categories method. Category ID, category name, okay, that's it. We're fetching the item details as well as associated category details. See, we are testing this association. Could not determine type for a set. Okay, just a second. I'm sorry. Where did I add this mapping details many to many? Oops, sorry. I did a mistake. Just a minute. You see here we have to on top of this property. In the getter method of that categories table I added it. Many to many mapped by so that property name categories you have to specify it. Sorry. Everything is same, only the thing is on top of that property I have to place it. I've placed it on the getter method actually. You see, you got this category details, item details, and as well as its associated category details. Yes. So is it clear for you people? So I'll do one thing today. I'll stop it here. Okay. But shall we have a class tomorrow morning? I'll start it little late so that you can join at this time, Central Time. Okay, 8 a.m. Central Time. 8:30 a.m. Not 8 a.m. Half hour late. Okay, 8:30 a.m. Central Time. So at this time we'll have the class tomorrow. Okay. Yes. So we'll upload this record. So just join the class at 8:30 a.m. Central Time. Thank you all.